Hey YouTube, how y'all doing today? This is Tyrell. I'm gonna be my real self, not the alter ego, and I'm doing and we're gonna conduct the interview. I know if you heard me talk, you heard me speak about Apostle Hudson all the time when I'm doing my church for the streets. And today I have an honor and a privilege to do the interview with Apostle Hudson. And I just want to let you know it is such an honor because anything that I give to the world, or my spark starts because my mom has a foundation, but actually being able to come into your church, I believe I was 12. And at the time I was on the choir, Baptist church, Bible study. My father's sister was an evangelist, and all I knew was church, but nothing really, for lack of better terms, resonated until 12 years old, coming to your church and you were teaching Hebrew meaning of words, and it made it make so much sense to me. So I tell everyone that you've been my biggest spark to start me on the journey of getting real truth. So it's an honor and a privilege to talk to you, Apostle. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I consider you to be one of the sons of the house. Whatever you need, I'm here.
It's beautiful for you to, before I could finish asking the question, Apostle told me, yes, anything you need, I'll do it for you. She may not know I've reached out to so many people in a position that probably could do an interview and weren't willing to. So it kind of made me reluctant of asking, but I always said no matter which one I would do, and I told you guys many of times, Apostle Hudson would be the first one that I would release with someone else. So I stuck true to my word, and she blessed me to do it. And thank you again.
You are welcome.
So before we get into any other questions, I just want to know, for people that are their first time seeing you, if you can, in a nutshell, who was Apostle Hudson before getting saved, and what brought you to God?
Wow. Who was I before getting saved? Well, that's kind of complicated because I really got saved as we would know salvation as a child. I fell in love with this mystical, magical Jesus that the church, I've been in church all my life. I don't have a remembrance of not being in church. But in an AME church in Charleston, in Mount Pleasant, because I'm Gullah Geechee, very tribal, very clannish. I fell in love with Jesus. So I accepted Christ probably about 10 years old. Now, when I really, really understood and took him serious, it's been about 40 years ago. And I got myself in a position of living, just tired of living. I backed myself in a corner and I told God, if you real, you got to show up. And he showed up on the side of my bed, crying, praying. I just knew this is real. And my whole life changed. I've never, from that moment on, I was on a quest to know him better and to serve him and to be the person that everybody told me to be, I needed to be. A lot of that was not true in the content. They did the best they could do, and to find out exactly when I'm committed to something, I'm committed. I'm 10 toes down, as you always say, both feet in. And so I wanted to do the best. That's been about 40 years ago.
Now, just to elaborate, you said some of what they told you may not have been true. Do you care to elaborate on what you found for yourself to be true about?
Church taught me that, or at least how I discerned it and understood it, that God was this disciplinaire, this monarch who, if I did anything wrong, I was going to get striked down. You're going to hell, and you had to dress a certain way, be a certain way. In a way, it instilled fear and not love, and definitely not faith. And I just found that not to be true. And I found along the way in church what we do, what leaders do. We teach what we've been taught and not what we've learned for ourselves. I don't teach anything I teach a lot of what I've been taught, but if I teach it, I've learned it to be truth also. So we just pass it on along the way. And I found a lot of what had been passed on was just not intentional. Most of it was not intentionally wrong. It was just wrong.
And if we was in church for the streets, I would tell y'all probably most of y'all don't even read the word for yourself anyway. That's what I would say. If we was, you really ain't reading it. You just telling what somebody told you. But that was a very humble and polite way of saying that. We're not in church for the streets today. So I won't say it. That's just what I would have said. We said off camera, I was a very curious and sometimes mischievous child. And my punishment would be go read the Bible, go read the lost books of the Bible. And when you're done, I want an essay on them and I want to know what they say. And in the ways I'm thankful because my mother probably don't know that she was laying a track down for me to find truth as well. But I was into church already, but Hebrew and Greek meaning of words, once I came into your teaching and your ministry, it opened up everything that I had questions about, even as a 12-year-old child. And it gave me a sense of being able to say, this is not just a story. This does have truth in it if we find a deeper meaning of what's been given here. Not saying it's given to hide it or to take us away, but that was just my thoughts internally. So it sparked me to get on a journey for myself to find truth just as you did. And that's mostly what the good news of the New Testament is about, the love of the Father, not the other side that we always hear that sometimes turn people away from coming in to learn them for themselves. First off, non-denominational, cross our boundaries, non-denominational. And that gave me the freedom to not only look at Christianity and say I don't want to be limited to Christianity or Judaism or Islam. It gave me the opportunity to speak with anybody and still find God in the Word. So what my question would be is, why non-denominational and what made you teach us Greek meaning?
Non-denominational because when I was instructed by the Father to build across our boundaries, it holds no denominational doctrine, rhetorics. He told me, I want you to take everything out of the building that you know to be me. Put the altar back, because if you look at most churches today, unless they're very old churches, the altars are gone. Put the altar back. And he had me to put the lion. You remember the lion?
Mm-hmm.
The lion, because it's the tribe of Yada. And don't add anything back that I don't instruct you along the way. Well, along the way, nothing has been added. It's just an altar. Because most of the things that we see now in church, the cross, the chairs, the things we use for litanies and all, these things have been added by men. Sometimes you find basis for them in the Word, of course, like the menorah or the candles. But he said, just put back what I tell you to put back. And nothing went back. And every church that I have, you see there is nothing but a podium to speak from and the lion and an altar for the people to kneel at. And denomination has divided the body of Messiah. The Baptists believe one thing, the Reformed Baptists believe another, the Methodists this, and we divide it, so we don't need a denomination. Being Gullah helped me a lot because I grew up in a completely different environment than the Midlands, you know. We're very clannish, we're very tribal because we're very close to our original roots from Africa, and we were taught nothing is more important than family, and if you insult one of the family, you lose the whole family. And so that teaching and holding on to that, and you take all of us and you get none of us. That's still a hallmark in my life. You know, I use women to insult a woman. That's my sister. We're the life givers, you know. You can't insult, abuse, offend a woman and remain one with me. That's ground zero for me. I lost several people as friends behind Vice President Kamala Harris. It wasn't that I endorsed her for president or I didn't endorse her. She's a woman. So when you come out and you begin to disrespect or say certain that you're not just talking about her, you're talking about the feminine of God. That would be me. And there's no money you can give me. There's nothing you can say that would redeem me. You can't buy. And I believe that's how the house of God is, and we've divided it off in these denominations. So non-denominational, not interdenominational, no denomination, because that's just division. And then it frees you to study and see God from a different elevation, because you're not boxed in by whatever denomination. Because I come out at the AME church. Then I went to the Baptist church. I've been to mosque. I had uncles who were Muslims. I've been to mass. I had uncles who were Catholic. And so when we would go to visit them, the Catholic uncle in New York, we went to mass. When we would go across town into Manhattan, we went to the mosque. So, but what it also did is gave me a wide spectrum of religions, that I wasn't so married to one religion. I know that's a long way around, but
that's freedom, and it sounds exactly like my story. That's why it sounds exactly like my story. So I was taking it all in. Now you did mention Kamala, but not just Kamala, women. And I had something here, and to me, it's not limited to women, because you treat me just as I see you give that nurturing love to women. It's like you have a motherly presence about yourself. And even like I said, when I asked you to do this, before I finished the sentence or asking the question, you said, anything you need from me, baby. And it's just so loving. Now, the fact that you said it, and forgive me, I don't mean to sound blasphemous. I don't mean to sound out of order, and correct me at any time, because this is your house, this is your interview, and I want to be corrected, because you only correct what you love. But just by when you said women, what I was going to lead with is, I won't be one of the people to say I've read the whole Bible in its entirety to and fro, but I've read a great deal of it. Now, this is just me. I have no definitive proof. This is just every time I read the Bible, I see, even with the disciples, Jesus struggled with them understanding what he's trying to tell them. And there's one story where he was telling them it's not what goes into a man, but what comes out of a man that makes him holy. And none of them could grasp what he was telling them. And while they were in conversation at the table, a lady was coming to beg him to pray the demons out of her daughter. And he told her, wait, let the children eat, because you shouldn't feed the dogs before the children. She didn't take offense. She wasn't bothered or wavered. She simply replied with, even the dog eat the scraps that fall from the children of the table. And for that, he deemed her holy and her child was healed. That's just one example of, every time I read the Bible, women themselves hear the voice of God directly. Men have to go into the wilderness. Why would you laugh when I say, why did you laugh?
It's just funny. funny because it's true.
Okay. Now, this is only my interpretation. So when I said to him, I probably need to be under a woman, he was offended. But what I see with the masculine man, that bravado sometimes keeps us away from. A man would have heard say, "Who you calling a dog?" From a man hearing it, because it's going to be responded to with force, machismo, or masculinity. But a woman has a keen enough ear to hear, I understand order, but even I should be fed too.
Yes.
And it's numerous occasions of this in the Bible. I don't want to get into any of the names or any of that, but that's what I see, the pattern that I see. So my question was, when you take that approach, and I feel the same way about women. I believe we are to be protectors and providers, but we should be a provider of a safe place and protect the woman from her intuition that she has, that we have to go into the wilderness to receive. So what's your stance on that? I know we laughed about it, but just what's your stance on it?
Well, it's culture. If you really look at it, we live in a patriarchal society. I know you know what that means. Men rule. The church, especially in America, is set up on a Roman type government setting, and that is men are rulers. Ancient Israel, it was exactly the same thing. It's the culture. We know in the book of Genesis, the beginning, we see that Adam and his wife sin, and people would say the curse put upon the woman because she sinned was she was put beneath the man. That's not true. We also see that God says, let us make the man in our image and in our likeness. Let us make them male and female. Let us give them dominion. So there is a feminine as well as a male side to God. God create everything that is created came out of who we call God. Even the trees. Anything that has breath of him is in him. And we look at, he makes the male first, that would be Adam. And he tells Adam, okay, find a suitable helper or mate for you. Adam, there is nothing. There is nothing, because what Adam already needed was in him. When you study that, we say rib, that's not rib. She was present inside. They were both made at the same time. So they were not, he was complete with her in him, but her purpose or her helping could not come forth until she was beside him, if that makes sense. So Yad He Vav He puts Adam out, and when Adam comes back to himself, bam, there she is. And Adam says, this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called Isha, for out of man, was she taken. The confusion and the superiority of men over women, that's cultural. That's shaped. Men are strong. They're wherever the man is lacking, the woman is full. Where the softness to his hardness, where the strength to where he's weak, we complement each other. That's the yin and yang. We see in other. It's and really no one is complete until they can accept. Now this is gonna sound crazy. Until they can accept that they are male and female in and of themselves. Let's look at the embryo. All are female. When an egg is fertilized, you start out female. Later on, there comes the development and the male comes forth. So, but the stronger will always rule over the weaker. That's our physical. And then when that happens, your mind start to play games or tell you that you're superior. And we also see that the woman's intuition, God gives her a gift. Because she was deceived by the enemy, he said, this is not going to happen again. And so women do have an intuition. We see it coming a mile away. That's when mama tell you, baby, she ain't the right one. You better listen to mama, because mama has been given by God a sense of discernment, what is of him and what is not of him. And so, yeah, but all through the Bible, you also see, if you're looking, you also see that women have been used from the creation all the way along. And they've been in leadership roles. We just don't want to see the Bible like that. So each time you split the denominations, they split for a reason. And usually that's a doctrine. So it's something probably in the doctrine that goes back to men are superior to women. But Moshe, even under the law, Moses said, when the father dies and there is no male seed and it's all females left, that what their father had should have been given to male relatives. The girls challenge him. And even Moshe, the deliverer, this is what the law says. I'm paraphrasing this. And he goes before God. And God said, give them their inheritance. So God breaks with the law of men. And he sides with, give them, that's their fathers. Give the women their inheritance. So we're not looking for it. We don't want to see it. It's a fear, I believe, that the male has, because the female is powerful. She's not powerful in force and strength in the natural. She's powerful here.
Strong enough to calm the beast.
To calm the beast. And yeah. So that's what I believe.
So that was beautiful to know that. That was freeing too, to know that. Not my own understanding, because it's the wisdom of God. Lady wisdom in Proverbs 8 that we speak of, the exact feminine emanation of God himself that was created before the word, that rejoiced at all of his creations. Mm-hmm. So that's the same thing for Adam and Eve. It was the exact same story of God and Lady wisdom in Adam and Eve, the emanation of a woman from a man, but having an intuition inside. To be the architect that built all of humanity is exactly what Lady Wisdom says in the Bible about herself. So that was beautiful and freeing. So what the next thing would be for me, I said I was a troubled child. I said that my punishment would be getting more into the word. Coming into your ministry, it didn't feel like punishment at all. It was freeing. And part of the reason why, I won't say that I'm not strong enough or I'm not meant to lead, but even when I see Jesus, the only ones that bless him, the only ones so he can bless others are women. So it's not saying that I needed to be under a woman or over a woman either. I think we're here to coexist and co-create. The yin and the yang, masculine, divine, feminine, and masculine. But if we're gonna be honest, and even when you said about Moses, his wife was a very pivotal woman as well. But anytime I've saw the power of God, it was in a woman. And I would tell anybody, to the point where sometimes my mother would tell me, stop sending so many people to Apostle Hudson. You don't know if she want to talk to people. You don't know if everybody has good intentions. You got to protect her as well. So at one point in time, it was, and I'll tell you why, no names or not getting into any details of the story, most people would shy away or be afraid, and I was at the time, of a deliverance. And you're the only person that I saw not perform a deliverance, but was able to identify that one needed to be perform. And if you were there to witness it at the time, I was 12, so I probably was a little scared. But now, just being able, because I tell everyone, if you see anything that seems off to me, call Apostle Hudson. So that's one thing that I tell everybody. And my mother used to tell me, you got to protect the apostle. You can't just try to send people because you think something wrong with them. You can't just start sending people to apostle. So with me, that's the only time I ever saw the power of God. Not in what we would consider a supernatural way, but to be able to look back on it was nothing chaotic. Mm-hmm. It was the most peaceful, loving, beautiful thing that I probably ever had to witness, because you allow God to use you as a vessel to love and bring the frequency of someone else up. And you were totally aware enough. It started as a cough, to identify with it and to see it through. But I saw how drained you was afterwards. So it has to be an act of love for someone to give themselves in that way. And I tell people that's the only time that I can say it supernaturally, but we talked about how we both pray when you told at the beginning that you needed God to show up for you at the foot of the bed crying. It's the same way I prayed and need God to show up for me, and he never fails us if we truly believe it. When it comes to that love and authority, do you think you're conscious and aware that you're going to be used in the way that you do at those moments?
Yeah. I'm going to say this. This leads into what I'm teaching now. I was here lately. I've been walking this way, like I said, 40 years. I've been pastoring 25 years, having to deal with people, having to deal with, church leaders, all of it. I get bored easy. I can honestly say that. That's why it's not because I'm so good or I want to be so knowledgeable that I seek out teachings or whatever. I don't want to be bored, because I'm a creative. If I get bored, I'm going to leave it and I'm never going to pick it up again. I'm sure you understand that. I'm on to the next quest. I mean, really.
Heart has to be in it.
My heart has to be in it, and you have to capture my heart. And so maybe the last 5 years, especially the last 2, I was like, God, I need to know you deeper even than I know you now. And for a minute, I didn't hear anything, but again, of the gullah in me, when my hand is put to a task, I will continue to do. When I know not what to do, I will continue to do the last thing I was told to do until new instructions come. So in a way, I was leading dead, because just dead. Life is lifing, I don't know if you know, but Raphael is in kidney failure. And so his dad, and we're his caretakers. He's renal kidney failure. So dialysis 3 times a week. That's what stopped me from touring with Yada, teaching Sharing Faith, Not Religion was, we had to put a pin in it to take care of our son. He lives in Tennessee with us. And so that was disappointment. As much as I love my child, and we will take care of our child, it just caused my life, okay, pause. And so, especially this last year and a half, I'll say 2 years, as I got deeper into the herbalism, he finally spoke to me and he said, you want to know me better, know you better. Because you all are looking for me to manifest out there. Your breath is me. I'm in you. You are me. I am you. And of course, I had to go back to my studies. That's what drew me back to the books.
The kingdom of heaven is within you.
The kingdom of heaven is within you. But let's go back to Genesis. And Elohim pulled from the clay a form, and he breathed into the form the Ruach. his breath, and the form became a living being. We call it soul. So who I am is a little bit of me and a whole lot of him. Man, you don't have a soul. You are a soul. It said, I became a living soul. And anything that has breath of God in it can never die. Not your flesh. Who you truly are will never die because God's breath is eternal. And so he said, go back. So where am I, Sheldon? I mean, I am you. You are, I'm in you. You all are thinking it's a prayer, it's a work, it's a sacrifice, it's a pleading, it's a cry. Know you. And the better you know you, you'll know me. Because how he relates to you is not how he relates to me. Because it's a mingling of you and him, and it's a mingling of me and him. So where some people hear the audible voice of God, how God talks to me is my intellect. Because the biggest part of God in me is my ability to learn. So when I get things, I know this is God. When I get a revelation, this is God, and I reverence that. So I begin to be quiet and just know me. And begin to meditate instead of talking so much. Went back to my rabbinical teachings and to some of the rabbis who trained me early on to see what they were teaching and talking about, and knowing the soul of me. So that's how I know when it's time for deliverance. Instantly, I can spot somebody who's off in a room. And it's not me. It's him in me, because the frequency is not right. They can have no apparent, no physical manifestation, no nothing. They could be, to everybody else, they're just calm. They're just, I know they're off. But because I know they're off doesn't mean they want to be on. I can know something is off with this person because God in them is being suppressed. But God in me can channel God in them and deliver them of what's choking or, causing them. I'm only really understanding. I was never afraid. I'm crazy. I was never afraid because I'd be like, how dare you suppress or torment someone God has given me to watch over. I go to bat for mine. If you are of my tribe, we live together. We gonna live and die together. I'm not going to allow you to be tormented beyond what you can handle. So that's where the bravery came from then. It comes from a different place now. It's God who does that. He doesn't want you off your frequency. He doesn't want him in you suppressed by another spirit. Because they are multiple gods, and all of them want to rule the man. But it is God who is causing what they want to rule to live. Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am. Total, complete sense.
And so that's how I know. And I don't struggle with it at all. And it's not a struggle. It's again, we've done these things in, bless the Lord, in church. And we make big shows of deliverance and demons and all of that. But sometimes it's not demons. Sometimes it's just a suppression of self. And love is, we got love confused. 1 Corinthians tells us it's patient, it's kind. It endures all things. It puts up with all things. It's not boisterous. It's not overbearing. It will always trust. It will always go. It never fails. So if I say I love you, that means I'm patient with you. I'm going to be kind to you. I'm not going to be boisterous or brash with you or continually remind you of your wrongdoing. And I'm never going to give up on you. And so you just show love. That's just show. You love the hell out of people. You don't force the hell out of people. Another spirit does not want God loving on you. So just an embrace sometimes to do it.
Now, I see, and that's all that Jesus talked about coming to do. That's all that Jesus talked about coming to do. Loving you first, because you can loving God first. And when you do that, you can see him in everything. And you will treat yourself as a meeting place for him. And you will know that your brothers and sisters are the same thing, another meeting place for him too as well. And that goes into, I noticed you said, how he comes to me is not how he comes to you. And I tell you guys all the time, it's because we're here to procreate with God, love, and exercise the fruits of the Spirit to be able to multiply and give to others. And that is what raises those frequencies, and that is loving the hell out of people. So I think that that's beautiful as well. I think that that's beautiful, and thank you for saying that. That just shows how amazing that the God in you is, and the authority for you to be able to not be scared. Because I think that's really, I won't say it's a hold up to me, because I don't know if it's a gift of mine, but I know I do have, for me, knowing how real it is, and the way that you even, and I'm 37 today, and back then I was a child, so I can remember even you telling us how to pray for protection over ourselves as you did it. So to me, I'm scared to open certain doors or to play with certain things. So for you being fearless, that just shows where the authority came from for you to speak as boldly as you did. You got the Spirit to identify itself first, and then you was able to free the person from it. So that just goes into how authoritative you are full with the word of God and God himself. So the next thing would be, I noticed you said the word meditate, and you guys are coming off of the Tabernacle Feast. When I passed by, I actually saw you guys out there the other day, and I saw that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that in celebration of the fast that Moses was on when he got the tablet?
No, the Feast of Tabernacles is the reminder that I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the house of bondage, out of the land of Egypt. To them, it was a reminder that they lived in tents. For 40 years, I took care of you. You lived in tents. Don't you ever forget how you were taken care of in the wilderness. So for these days, I want you to come out of your houses. I want you to come out of no working, none of that. Of course, it's altered some today, but it was a reminder of them, who brought them out and how he brought them out. Their shoes didn't wear out. Their clothes didn't wear out. They never were hungry. God took care of them in the wilderness. And he said, as long as earth remains, you observe this, tell it to your children, share the story of how you came out of Egypt, how you were slaves in Egypt, how I sent a deliverer, how you came out. And the Feast of Tabernacles has been traced as the true time that Christ was born. And it is believed that when he returns, it'll be during a Feast of Tabernacles. Because in New Testament it says, I tabernacle with you now. Tabernacle, of course, means tent. We are the tabernacle of God. We are the tabernacle of God. And so there's 7 feasts, and 3 of them are still relevant. And we observe it every year. We didn't go out here this year because he said every off year now, because we got people coming out of New York, Philadelphia, Mississippi, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and of course Tennessee. All of them are coming, and we do a huge feast. And so every off year we do the huge feast out on the land. This year we stayed in-house, but we still observed the Feast of Tabernacles. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
Now, going into, these are going to be my last 2. I noticed the last time we were here, you let me know that you were actually a herbalist and a healer. You just said, hey, you've been doing it for a while. I see the same thing with the patterns when I speak here. I see the same thing as far as Jesus being a naturalist and practicing natural herbs and the way that he lived his lifestyle. When I tell people about, when I say wilderness, and when I say, usually Jesus goes to the wilderness before he starts his teaching. And he fasts. And sometimes you will see him blow his breath over his disciple because that breath has been deemed holy, because he not only stripped down to being an empty vessel, but while he's fasting, he's filling himself with the armor of God. And that's what gives him that authority that Apostle has so strong as well. But asking that, it was amazing to me when you were telling the story and you said you could be laying down or you could see something and it would be, you call them your babies, and you would say, this is what my baby's for, and this is going to bring healing in this area. I just want you to talk about that as briefly as you can or however you want to, because I think that is something, it could sound taboo to most people, but if you really look at the word, then it's talking about that deeply all the time. So I just wanted you to touch on that because most people don't, if we talking about.
Well, you're made from the dust. You're made from earth. That's what the word tells you. Man is the dust of the earth. I believe, and we go over to the book of Revelations, it tells us that in the New Jerusalem, the leaves of the trees are there for the healing of the nations. Over in Genesis, it says, after he did the creation, he said, I give you every herb-bearing tree. It will be to you your food and your medicine. So we're made from the earth. I think this is my belief. He's put everything that we need to heal in the earth. We just have to break the codes. Little bit of history here. Every community, especially amongst Black folk, but also in Appalachia, also amongst Caucasian tribes, had a healer. If you got sick, if you had a cough, they tell you, go down to Miss Sadie house and tell her, I need something for this cough. Some of them, Daniel even talked about how his dad would go out in the backyard and pick wild onions or something, and he couldn't stand it, ball it, and make them drink it. We had all of this. In the 1940s, you see a rise in America where pharmaceuticals come on the forefront. This is history.
Great witch hunt.
Yeah, and a great witch hunt went out because the people didn't trust the pharmaceuticals. They were still attached to their healers in their communities. So the government, the pharmaceuticals get in with the government, and they begin to demonize healers, calling them witches, and you're practicing witchcraft, and this is going to kill you next. So you see the healers fall back and go underground. It never stopped, but it lost its influence, and people were ashamed of it then because you didn't want to be called a witch. Now, what is one of the most, if not the most powerful of all the lobbies? It's our pharmaceuticals in America. It is the titan of our government. And so, but what has happened, because we left the healers and left the earth, now we got processed foods, we got medicines that, cause complications. People got wise about 20 years ago, and you saw a return to organics, you saw a return to the earth for healing. And so now the healers are back. The healers are back, and people are now searching because the world is open to us now. The world is open. I want to know anything about medicine, I can open up a book. I can open up the World Wide Web. And so there's a return of the healers. We're no longer considered to be witches and you casting a spell. And Get away from me. Nobody, that to me, that's ignorance in a way. Well, again, I grew up Gullah. Grandmama made our soap, our medicine. I grew up in the civil rights movement. I didn't have a doctor to go to. And if I was really, really sick, they would take us to the doctor, but you had to sit on the black side and you had to wait till everybody else was seen. I can remember, it probably was measles. I was so sick as a little girl. Grandmama lived probably 2 miles away from the doctor, but I was a little fat girl. I was fat, even though she was a strong woman. And my uncles couldn't get to her to take me to the doctor, and I guess she knew I was going to die. She put me on her back and she walked to the doctor's office. I can remember sweating and just panting for my breath. We went into the doctor's office and she refused to allow them to put us on the black side and wait. I had to see the doctor right then. But when she got me home, here she is scrapping this stuff on me, making me sweat all of that out, and praying over me all night, having my uncles to go get certain things. We've left that, but now we've come back to it. So people are starting to look, where are the herbalists? So now we're not called the healers, we're called the herbalists. Now we're regulated. Like I don't sell my medicinal tinctures online because it's considered to be medicine. That crosses a line by regulation. And so if you want it, you have to come see me. I can't put that online because then I have to meet certain standards. They're making it very difficult, but they can't do anything with us because most of the population wants it now. I remember, and like I said, I've gotten closer to understanding me in herbalism because I'm this one. I can sit, y'all don't judge me, I can sit at a witch's teaching and not be affected by the witch at all. Just give me the knowledge. All I came here for is the knowledge. So I've studied Chinese medicine. I've studied massage. I've studied all of these things. I'm coming for the knowledge of what God put out. I'm not coming for your religion. I'm not coming. What does Dunji do? What is good for this? Just this is it. I remember when I freed my mind with that, I'm sitting there like, these people, I'm sitting in one class, in a master's class. And he's in Hawaii, one of the master herbalists in Hawaii, and he was talking about COVID. But he was going all around his religion. And I was like, I can't take much more of this, Lord. And God said, just be quiet. Attune to what I sent you here for. And when I did that, I was good. I came out of it. And he led me outside. I want you to go outside. So I went outside. And I practiced with what this warlock, because he was a straight up warlock. He said, you go out into nature. You sit. Shut your eyes. And what do you hear? And what you hear will lead you to medicine. I was like, that sounds like witchcraft. This is the religion in me. That sounds like witchcraft. But I did it. So I went outside because the Lord told me to go outside. It's like, okay. And I sat down. I have a bench in my backyard in Tennessee. And Tennessee is full of healing. The mountains is just pure ground. I shut my eyes and I heard bees. Bees pollinate, but they're also healers. And I could hear them, and it was an interruption. And I was like, okay. And he said, just sit with it and hear. And I was listening. Then I got up, and he said, then follow the sounds that you hear. And so I have a hibiscus tree. And I went to the tree, and then God is no longer is the warlock instruction. God is saying, what do you see? And I saw the bees. They were pollinating, but they weren't pollinating all of them. And the Father began to say to me, I put enough medicine in the earth for you and for them. They will lead you. When they are finished, you pull it because you're able to extract what is left. Don't touch what they hadn't touched. Leave it for them. They have a job to do that's going to help you. And so that's how I operate. Then he told me, this one blew my mind. He said, you're walking on a carpet of healing and you don't even know it. When you stepped out and you stepped on that grass, even the dandelions are doing what they're supposed to do so that you can be healed. But you all are so religious. How do you walk on carpet of healing but you sick? And that just freed me. I go out in the nature now and just sit and just listen. I listen for the water. I listen for the bees. And then we're taught in herbalism, we don't have to struggle with which mushrooms are good and which ones are not, because the animals are not going to eat poison. So you watch wildlife, you watch how nature handles a thing. And if nature handles it, you can handle it. A dog does not eat grass. When you see a dog eating grass, that means even a dog knows that he's sick and he needs to be healed. What is wrong with us? We've allowed our doctrines and religion to tell us that there's something wrong. I go, when I'm sick and he's sitting right there, I'm a type 1 brittle diabetic. We got a service dog. When I get sick, I don't have an immune system. What you have, I don't have. People like me don't come out in winter, and they don't come out without masks. I've not had a cold in probably 2 years. I caught the flu, which should have killed me last year. He'll tell you it was like a cold because of what I instantly go to my tinctures and I pull this. What I know what they do. I know how to handle them. I respect them. I talk to my plants. The hibiscus tree, her name is Heidi. And I talk to her. She should bloom at the most twice a year. Ask him. She was blooming out of season. I talked to her so because the women love the hibiscus. They love the oil. Hibiscus is known as natural Botox. It tightens skin. And so I was talking, I said, girl, you just doing your job. You just come on. I told Daniel, I ran back in the house. He thought I was crazy. I said, you won't believe this, but Heidi has bloomed again. She out there full. It's a vibration in the earth. We all have breath of God in us, but we're so boxed off and closed off that we can't. A dog can teach you something if you pay attention. The Bible says the mouth of a babe has wisdom. Through a child, I have perfected my praise. And so my dog, my worst time with type 1 brittle diabetes is like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because the body resets itself. That's what your body does. It's ramping you up. It's resetting. All of your organs are resetting to face a new day. Well, when that happens to me, my blood sugar can literally go to a low where I'm not going to come out of. But the dog is trained. He'll wake me up. You need to get up. You get up, mama. He'll jump on me. He sometimes knows I'm going to have a bad day. And he'll even come up against him. They fight. When he doesn't want anyone around me, I know, okay, this is not going to be a good day. You need to stay home because your blood sugar is going to bottom out. And sure enough, God has put these things around us, but we're so religious. We just want to Why pray for what is available for you to reach for? I'm not going to pray for what I can reach for.
Now, I think I'm crazy when I sit out there every day and ground and be out there saying, hey, Mr. Tree. Y'all think something wrong with me. But y'all see what I mean now, right? You see what I mean? I do something, I call it, my stage name is Stunna. So I call it grounding with Stunna. And I go every day and ground and I take them with me and talk to them for an hour with my shoes and socks out, sitting in my dirt, my
and
grass.
Ground yourself in the grass.
And I have one tree that's behind me, and I just give reverence, like you said, respect them, and I love them. Not just that one tree, but it could be this phone, this table. I know it had to come from a thought, and that thought came from the spark of our Father.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect everything that I come across. I try my best, even if it's a bug, to not damage it, but unless you in my house, because you got a home out there for yourself.
You know
so you
better.
you should get out there at your home.
Okay.
But that, other than that, my last question for the audience would be, you do have that motherly, nurturing tone, not only to women but to men. You're protectors of us all. You give us the ancient Hebrew meanings. You give us, we don't have to pray for it when we can reach it, because you're exposing it to us.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, everybody don't want it. Just because you can recognize it don't mean they're gonna receive it. If it's a young man that looks like me, or a young woman that's in the streets, what would you say? And I'm asking because anytime, and I told you I was a troubled child, I got on my paths of where I wasn't living like I knew I should have. And we talk about that authority. When Apostle would be preaching some days, if I know I was doing wrong, I didn't even want to walk in the church, because I knew she could identify something that, and it's been a couple of times, you've been doing that this week, right? And I would be like, oh no, but I couldn't tell you a story, but that was as a child. But the disconnect that I see with people, or when I ask, it's because they feel ashamed, or like God is not going to be willing to listen to them. So if it is a young lady that's in the streets, or a young man that's looking like me, what would you say about where they are right now in their life and the way that God can still use them?
Well, he's already using you. Remember what we said. He's not just in folk who are, as we say, saved. If you are breathing, God is in you. He already know everything. He knew what you would do before you did it. This is how you were created. He went to the end of you and walked you back. Okay? The Bible tells us that he starts at the ending. When he thought about you, he didn't make you a tree, a dog, a cat, a water. He made himself. We are made in the image and the likeness of God. So there is nothing that you can do, have done, can do. First of all, he didn't know you were going to do it. And second of all, it changed his mind about making you in his image. Because he could have made you a dog, or he could not have made you at all. But he chose. And like I said, get to know yourself. I've found when people abuse themselves and do really crazy stuff, whether it be addiction, bad sexual habits, murder, just dumb stuff, you don't know who you are. You are the express image of God in the earth. Because you've corrupt yourself don't mean you're still not his expression. Get to know you. Just take time and just think. Think. Be quiet. Just the Bible says, be still and know that he is God. Sometimes we're too vocal. We're chasing stuff. We're going on to the next thing. Just sit down and get to know you. And I promise you, he'll introduce himself.
That's beautiful. Now, I know we have to come to you for your healing. Where can everyone find you or your ministry, online or in person, if they need a church or someone to come fellowship? Okay.
Well, I'm pastoring in Tennessee. Pastor Carol is pastoring here. aabchristianchurch.org. You'll be able to find both ministries there. Here is 720 Old Clemson Road, Suite C, which is out in the Northeast area. She's my best friend. She helped me to launch this ministry. We walked side and side. And so when it was time for me to go to Tennessee to launch that church 7 years ago, it was nobody else's hand. I could leave it in and trust. So 720 Old Clemson Road, Out there where the FN factory is, the entry in that industrial park is the physical location in Columbia. If you're ever in Tennessee, 2821 East Magnolia Avenue, Knoxville, Tennessee. But aabchristianchurch.org is where you find both ministries, because we both go live on Sundays. So you'll be able to join us live. And if you choose to come into a physical location, we have the one here in Columbia and the one in Tennessee. If you're looking for me or products or something that I might make, my website is simplysheldon.com. That's simplysheldon.com. Okay.
All right, well, y'all, I hope y'all got as much from it as I did. I hope it blessed y'all as much as it blessed me. It's been an honor and a privilege again, Apostle. You just don't know how much it means to me. And thank y'all for watching. It's still church for y'all. And it's church for y'all. And we're gonna get back to everything else next week. It's been beautiful. I actually love the conversation. Y'all drop down in the comments below and tell me anything else you want me to answer. If I'm gonna go to Tennessee, and I'm gonna let y'all see when I go to Tennessee and attend the service. So y'all ask me, maybe I'll be able to run across Apostle again and ask a question for y'all. So leave them in the comments too. Thank y'all for watching. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next time.